years old.
Welcome back. I hope that your heat's working right when it's cold out there. Cindy Dole, Home Wizards, and we thought we'd talk about it because it's been some kind of chilly nights out there. And with me is a guy who gets all the questions, Mark Schneider and his wife Cynthia with Pacific Aire. And thanks for being here with us, you guys. And it was so much fun having Keith come into our attic and really show us, boy, what failures we are. We're bad parents in terms of our furnace. I think we get reported to child services or something, we didn't really bad abuse. But in terms of the tax credit, tell us why we need to be paying special attention. There's something going on.
Absolutely. This was the last 2 years. It's been great. $1,500 tax credit. Just you take it right off your tax bill. Full credit. You don't have to wait for a check. And it comes if you install like the new 95% furnaces. So great thing to take advantage of. At this point, it's ending December 31st. So
Merry Christmas, honey.
Yeah. So if you're thinking of changing your system right now, this is the time to do it because it's a net. It costs less to upgrade to that efficient of a furnace than the credit is going to give you. So it's just a great idea. And then you've got your gas company rebate of $200. And then there's a thing called the cash for appliances that if we take your old furnace and send it to a recycler, which we always do, then you'll get $300 for the furnace too. So you can get $2,000 off of these super high efficient furnaces.
Mad money.
That's good stuff.
Let's go to the phones because it looks like we have someone calling in. Jeff is joining us. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for calling to the show. What's going on?
Hey, we just had our house last summer. We had our attic insulated. They put like R30 up there, but we have one room in the house. The walls aren't insulated. It's like the house was built in 1939. But we have one room where our 2-year-old daughter sleeps. It's like the coldest room in the house. And just wondering, like, there's insulation all over the attic, so there's insulation up in her ceiling, but it's just always colder in there. And, instead of blasting the heater, so it's like 80 degrees in the rest of the house just so it's comfortable in there, if there's something we can do besides put one of those, like, little cheapy space heaters in there, what other options might we have?
Is your ductwork from the 30s, or has that been replaced?
No, it's new. They put in the heater about 5 years ago.
Okay. You can enlarge your duct system into her room. It will put more heat into her house. Her room. The only challenge is if it's not insulated, the heat's going to leave the room quickly, too. So you might still have a little problem with it not being the desired temperature. You can put zoning, electronic zone controls, that would divert the air into her room and not to the rest of the house when her temperature drops. Okay. You can do remote thermostats, but the challenge is, as you mentioned, her room may be perfect, but the rest of the house might be a little too hot.
Right.
So remote thermostats, zone systems, adding additional ductwork. Insulation is always your best thing. If you get the house to be nice and tight, then it will stay conditioned longer. And so if her room's going to always be a little...
If we want to do the walls where they blow in that recycled newspaper or whatever.
There's also little mini split units you can buy. That way she'd have her own unit, heating and cooling, and her own zone control. So that's another option. Usually the zoning to your existing system is usually a cheaper option than a mini split. But
So they can retrofit a non-zoned system with a zoning system? They can just add that on, basically?
As long as your duct system and your furnace is accessible, absolutely. We do it all the time.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Cool. Hope that helps, Jeff. Yeah, good to know. Good question. A lot of people will complain, although it sounds like in Jeff's situation, he's more up to date than a lot of us and a better parent with his furnace. But, in terms of going from room to room and all of a sudden there's more of a draft, what is...
Zoning is wonderful. Yeah. In our house, we have 7 zones, 1 unit, but 7 different zones, 7 different thermostats. I tie it to like a thermostat, a light switch. When you walk in your house, you don't turn on one switch and all your lights come on. You turn on the lights in the rooms as you need it. Well, heating is the same way. You only need the heating and cooling where you need it. And if your one room is on the west side of the house, which is really hot, it's going to be a lot warmer than the north bedroom that's very cold with no direct sunlight.
Makes sense.
So you can't make the house perfectly temperatured if the thermostat's in the west room, because it's going to not want the heater to come on.
Or in the west wing.
Yeah, there you go. And the north wing is going to be cold. So
how much does zoning cost? I'm sure it's depending on the size of your home, but
yeah, it's like using the analogy of cars.
Yeah.
You can add zoning on when you're doing your duct system for under $1,000, and you can retrofit it, and it might cost you several $1,000s.
Okay, well, that sounds within, a doable accomplishment. Okay. And we can discover all of this with an energy audit, right?
Absolutely.
When someone like you guys come and you'll analyze room by room, oh, look, you need to improve your zone, or oh, look, it looks like your ducts are bad, or what else? Our windows are not efficient.
Right. We'll do load calculations because, as the caller said, he added a bunch of insulation. Well, his old house needed a certain size unit. Now that he added all this insulation, it may not need as big a unit. So we can put a smaller unit in, he's just as comfortable. So you do a load calculation, and then you check the duct system, and then go on from there. So,
what about updating the insulation in your attic? I mean, a lot of people have been paying attention to that.
It's a great idea. We recommend that all the time. We go into homes with bad insulation. We'd have to put such a big unit in, and plus it won't stay comfortable. We'll get the house nice and comfortable, then all of a sudden you turn the heater off and the heat goes right through the attic.
Is there a new material being used now? Or?
They do. I'm not as versed on that. I know the company we recommend uses it's like a ground up mulchy paper, but it's very eco-friendly. It's very, very efficient. Even over the rolled insulation, when they blow this stuff in, it covers every little crack and nook and cranny. It blankets the whole attic, and it will make such a difference in your house. It'll make it so much. Besides saving energy, it's just more comfortable when you have the heat not going right through your ceiling. So.
And speaking of new, why don't we have solar heaters, or do we?
Well, at this point, there's you can use hydrothermic heating and all that kind of stuff. Around California, it's not as practical. But what they are leaning more and more toward is solar for the power, and then you can use a heat pump system, which is all electric, for your heat. So use the solar energy for the heat pump and run it that way. So they're starting to go that way. Natural gas is still just so cost effective.
Yeah.
It's just so cheap and it heats so quickly that most people like to use gas heaters still.
Well, it's smart. Well, you've really made us smarter, and I'm so happy you could spend some time with us. And I'm glad to know about the tax credit deadline, so we're marking our calendar with that. And your website for everybody is?
www.pacaire.com. So it's pacaire.com.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on in, and we'll have to have you back to talk more about heating and cooling, all right?
Love to come back.
All right, when we come back, we're going to shift gears and talk about ways to celebrate with those that you love with a package that really says that you spent some time thinking not only about the gift that you created or that you bought, but just with that extra TLC in terms of how you present it. It makes such a difference. We're going to talk with a woman who has a real eye and a knack for this. Home wizard Cindy Dole. The fun continues right after this.
One day